wild card round. Let's talk about these games, and we'll just go in order of how they went. Everyone got games to recap.
Yep.
So first game that we had was kind of an upset. Not kind of an upset. This team was 3-point favorites on the road. Chargers traveling to Houston. Chargers, I felt like this game, the whole first half, they had so many chances to pull away.
Yeah.
So many chances to pull away. I saw a couple of missed throws from Herbert. Stroud threw a bad interception, and then Herbert next play says, "Don't worry, I got you." Throws one cross body, an easy interception for him. Very disappointing. I do think, though, when it comes down to these playoff games, there's always going to be one play that's like, that was the game.
Yeah.
And in this one, I think it was the 3rd and 16. Bad snap to C.J. Stroud, goes right past him. I'd say 90% of the time on that play, the quarterback jumps on the ball, it's over. Punt it away. C.J. Stroud gets the bounce, scoops it up, rolls away from the pressure, and throws a 34-yard dime to Xavier Hutchinson.
Yeah.
They go down, score a touchdown on that drive. All of a sudden, the offense had life from that point on. I mean, the game was 6-0 at that point. I was watching the game on my drive home from Springfield thinking, what a freaking snoozer we're getting to start the playoffs, man. What a bummer this game is so far. And then they just could not stop scoring after that. I mean, they were dead in the water, and they got a spark. And the Chargers team is just not built to play from behind.
Yeah.
You have to have explosive players to play from behind, and they don't have that. And we knew that. They're a ground and pound team. Take the lead, hold the ball, play good defense, and that is what they like to do, and they can't come from behind. And then when you have Justin Herbert throwing 4 interceptions he's had 3 games where it's like win and move on to the playoff, like a playoff type game. Against the Raiders, lost in overtime. Yep. Against the Jacksonville Jaguars, up 27-0, doesn't score another point offensively. I know everyone's like, oh, the defense choked. It's like, why don't we score more points maybe? I don't know. You can't just sit on 27 seeing the Jacksonville Jaguars scoring. Like at one point it was 27-14.
Yeah.
You didn't think to score then? 27-21, you didn't think to score then? Like, maybe put up some points. I don't know. And then in this game, 4 interceptions is terrible. And I don't like to do this because I think it's a dumb exercise to do, but if you take away the Ladd McConkey 86-yard touchdown where he just made a great move and broke away, I mean, Herbert's stat line's abysmal. Just absolutely poor in this game. It would have been 4 interceptions and no touchdowns if Ladd McConkey doesn't make a huge play. Herbert in must-win games, really, really bad. You just don't see the clutch gene in him, in my opinion. Maybe we need to have that conversation about Herbert. And even maybe Jordan Love, as we'll get into later. These guys are making $50+ million to elevate their team. And they haven't yet. They haven't. So I do think the Chargers were in the playoffs, a year early. Obviously, this was a team projected to win 5.5 games. They were coming off of having the 5th pick in the NFL draft. And they played a great season, going 11-6, but they just got kind of exposed in this game. And it's like, okay, they need weapons. They still got things to fix for sure. And the Justin Herbert, fun stat, first quarterback in NFL history to have more interceptions in one playoff game than his entire regular season. First time that's ever happened in NFL history. 3 interceptions all season. I said that when I picked the Chargers. I want the Chargers in this game because Justin Herbert doesn't turn the ball over. He's been playing it safe. And he did. He decided, nope, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that today. And he threw 4 interceptions. One of them not his fault. Either way, 3 interceptions on him is bad. And he was missing throws left and right. Very disappointing for the Chargers. And I was very impressed with Houston, who has their defense doesn't get the respect it deserves.
Yeah.
Truthfully, their defense has been awesome. And if C.J. Stroud plays smart ball, Joe Mixon is a stud. Nico Collins is still there. Imagine if they had Tank Dell and Stephon Diggs still, man. They would be awesome. I mean, this is a team that can't run between the tackles because they don't have the guards to do it. They do not have the guards to run between the tackles. So that's half of the running game. You have to run outside or throw the ball. And they still put up, 32 points? Won by 20 points at home against the Chargers, a game none of us picked. None of us took Houston to win at home. Our mistake. But, yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think about it? Colin, what are your thoughts on that game? Anything you want to add?
Well, it was kind of indicative early when LA got those chances. They got down to the red zone and they settled for 3.
Yep.
Settle for 3.
Yep.
And I'm like, eventually that's going to come back to bite you
Yes,
because you've got to convert touchdowns down there. And then, like you said, that 3rd and 16, it was like, oh,
backbreaker. It's like, here we go.
Okay, that's a play where it's going to turn and revitalize that offense, get them going. So I was more so shocked, more so with the Chargers and Herbert's performance than I was Houston's performance. But yeah, they're kind of scared moving forward, Houston.
Yeah.
2 elite edge rushers, a great corner.
A great LT, great left tackle in Tunsil.
Yeah.
Quarterback who played it safe in this game. I mean, Stroud didn't light up the scoreboard or anything. He was 282 yards, a touchdown, a pick. He didn't go crazy, but he didn't throw 4 interceptions. That's the key.
282 to this year's league is better than the past.
Very good.
That's very good.
Agreed.
I will say, I think the Chargers are firsthand experiencing the Greg Roman effect.
Yes.
Greg Roman, he can pound the rock. He can play with the lead. He can do all those things. he panics. The first time he loses a lead, panic, throw, all those interceptions happen. There's a reason why he only had 3 picks over the year. It's because they weren't throwing the ball as often.
Yeah.
You know, all of a sudden you're down. You got to stay with what's been working for you, but you can't panic, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, the Ravens did that for years with him. So when I saw that start to happen, I was like, here we go again.
Yeah.
You know, classic Greg Roman. And they're going to keep him for another 2 years, and then they're going to have the other team calling out their plays, and they're going to say, we got to have someone else come in. You know,
I feel like Sage has experience with this.
Yeah.
I almost knew. I was like, why did I think that? I knew it was.
I
gonna
know,
happen.
same.
You know, but yeah, congrats on the home team. They showed out for. We didn't believe in the home team.
I know.
Division winner, and they showed us.
Yeah, they did.
Poo-poo division, but still division. But
100%.
but still division winner at home playoff team. But disappointing in the Chargers defensive line. I mean, the Houston Texans offensive line has been a concern all year, just protecting Stroud, giving him time. With Mac, Bosa both healthy. Not really much of an impact there. And Stroud, 282, that's a good day.
That's a great
touchdown with the running game going and just letting Herbert make mistakes. It's a tough one. At the end of the day, though, I think Herbert, obviously he's not in the upper echelon. It's 4 guys right there. We all know him. But Herbert's pretty damn close to the top of the rest of the list, in my opinion. But he's getting paid big money. The quarterbacks get paid big money no matter what, if they succeed at all. Just stats-wise, but still you got to be excited for the future as a Chargers fan. Like you said, Nate, they got their
year. It was a rebuilding year for them.
People did not anticipate them to win 11 games this year, but a really bad performance in your playoff spot. Really bad.
And then it's like, you know, Herbert's had 3 playoff games, essentially. 1 to get in and 2 in the playoffs, and all 3 of them, he's 0-3.
Harbaugh's only first-round loss is this game.
Is this game. It was a 20-point loss, and Herbert, QBR of 13 on a scale of 0 to 100, passer rating of 40. If you just spike the ball every time, you get like a 32. And he got 40. It's like he was better off not throwing the ball downfield. Tough game for the Chargers. Again, Chargers fans, I'm not trying to dog on you. Like, Ladd McConkey had 190 yards. Their next receiver had 12.
Yeah, they've only got Ladd.
They only have him. Although Quentin Johnson, man, where'd you go? That was one of my selling points on them was Quentin Johnson looks great.
Well, the week before that, he had 180.
He was awesome.
Right?
It's like
13 catches, 180.
I'll be honest, I didn't see if he had any like back-breaking drops in this game. I don't know. I saw a lot of Chargers fans complaining about the drops online, and I've been there. I get it. I feel your pain. But
one of those picks was a jump ball where it was the crossbody, field, but Quentin Johnston was going for the ball as if the defender just wasn't going to try and go get it. It's like your jump ball IQ's got to be better than that 6'4" receiver. But I
Agreed. So Chargers got some stuff to figure out this offseason. You've got to get some more weapons in there. I think that's going to be my go-to mock draft pick for them every time is either a receiver or a tight end. Probably Colston Loveland to Jim Harbaugh. I like that a lot. A lot of people talking, hey, Chargers got to trade Herbert to the Vikings for J.J. McCarthy. And a couple of firsts. Get Jim Harbaugh, his boy. I would love that. Get Jim Harbaugh out of the AFC because no matter what I say about him, he's still going to win double-digit games most seasons. He's like, this team is as bad as it's probably going to be for a while. Realistically, like they won 11 games and
they're only the start of this regime.
Exactly. First year with Harbaugh and them. So Chargers fans, don't hang your heads. It's a tough loss. It's a bad taste in your mouth, but you weren't supposed to be here anyways. So move on. You'll be okay. I promise.
Chargers going to charge you.
Chargers are going to charge you, baby. Steelers at Ravens. Sage. Tell us about that game. We all know you were watching that one as closely as anybody. Big win.
Gosh, what a game. I mean, obviously, I thought it was going to be a lot closer because obviously it's a division rival that we all know, we all hate. We love to hate them, you know? And I thought it was going to be a lot more competitive. But thank you, Russell Wilson, for making it not. And I could sit back and enjoy a playoff game, which I haven't gotten to do in a long time.
Relax.
Exactly. Obviously, the running game is the main selling point in this game. The Ravens had 299 yards rushing. Jesus. And that is counting the kneel downs. So should have 300.
Crazy, man.
Should have 300 right there. Derrick Henry has 186 on the ground. Lamar goes for like 80. Derrick Henry is just getting stronger and stronger as the season goes. And you've heard that for years, right? And it's just, I've never gotten to experience it on my team.
I know.
And it's a lot nicer over here because I remember when he was knocking us out of the playoffs.
I mean, dude's 31 years old doing this. He's not supposed to do this anymore.
Running backs are supposed to, pass away.
He retired. Yeah, I think their lifespan is 40 years old, so he's on the back nine.
Right.
And he's crushing it.
But here we are. Our first drive, we ran the ball 9 times on 13 plays. And it ended with a straight dot to Bateman in a small window.
Yeah.
Right? And then the next drive, 13 straight runs for a touchdown. With a touchdown.
They just told the Steelers, we're stronger than you.
Yeah.
We're
That's what happened. We ran the ball on 69% of our plays.
Nice.
And Derrick Henry's laughing while he's running. He's running away from Patrick Queen. You could see the heartbreak on Patrick Queen's face. You deserve it. You shouldn't have gone, you traitor.
Yep.
And Derrick Henry's laughing in his face. At halftime, this game was damn near over.
Yes.
That scramble at the very end with 2 seconds left to Justice Hill, just tossing it over. He goes right in. That was one of the plays where I was going, no, yes.
Touchdown. Sweet.
It happens so often with him where I don't know why I'm even saying no anymore. But we finally hit halftime. We had 19 first downs. Pittsburgh had 17 plays.
Jeez.
Like, the Ravens' defense is finally starting to come alive. I mean, we started to come alive ever since we switched our Darius Washington to free safety. Dude is 5'8", 180.
That's crazy.
And he is throwing his body around like nothing. He is there to hit people, and I'm living for it all day long. Kyle Hamilton's playing like the second-team All-Pro that he is. Mm-hmm. The play calling. We're finally not getting to the playoffs and saying, you know what? Let's
do something else. Let's change it up.
Let's let Lamar air it out every play. No. Let's stick to what's been working. There's a reason we've won those games. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's stick with it. It's been amazing to see that and not just freak out when we get there and we gotta change our identity. Lamar's just being efficient. I saw near the end of the game he only threw 20 passes.
16 to 21.
16 to 21. And at one point he was 14 for 16. We were just throwing it just because we can't run the ball every play.
Right. Although you could. You average 6 yards a carry.
We could.
That's pretty good.
But apparently Lamar's on record saying I'm not sliding these playoffs.
Yes.
Oh gosh.
And that scares me.
I don't love that.
Also he's I'll show them how physical I can be.
Yeah.
You know? And he's lowering his shoulder. He's putting DBs on their ass. Yeah. I mean, I think Derrick Henry is teaching the entire team how to stiff arm. Yes. Because Isaiah Likely is dribbling motherfuckers off the field. Which was the most beautiful stiff arm I've ever seen. Gosh. And we did all this without our Pro Bowl wide receiver.
Yeah.
Zay Flowers not even playing.
Yeah.
You know, who needs Zay Flowers? We still do. I would love for him to come back. Don't get me wrong.
You want him.
But we did this all with Rashad Bateman being our number one. Anthony Miller was catching passes.
Yeah, that's crazy to get 3
He caught 3 passes for us.
That's crazy.
As soon as I saw him...
Second most for the Ravens. Second most catches of any Ravens player.
I saw Miller and I was like, who the hell is Miller? And it clicked. I was like, oh yeah, he was on our practice squad.
Anthony Miller.
Gosh. But looking at the Steelers side of it, they have not been good for 5 straight weeks.
Yeah.
No, yeah, they fell apart.
And it's not like they just...
Some would say they collapsed.
Yes.
They were
snubbed.
Just they were totally snubbed for the Kubiak to collapse award. But they made the playoffs. It's so hard to give it to them. Come on.
But you can't even it's not just the Steelers defense. There's one player on the Steelers defense I'd like to talk about the most, and that is their best player, TJ Watt. For the second straight week, had no stats.
Yep. Barely played.
No sacks, no tackles. No pass defense. No interceptions, no forced fumbles, no TFLs, no nothing. No nothing for TJ Watt. TJ Watt was out there doing cardio, and that's great for your body. Great job. Do it outside of the game, and in the game, try to tackle somebody. Because his designation was Derrick Henry, and he never touched him.
Yeah, couldn't.
I will say, in the beginning of the game, the Steelers, they were not as aggressive as you would like them to see.
4th and inches, and they pumped the ball.
And they pumped the ball.
That's sad.
It probably could have been closer. Say they go for it. Say they get that. Say they keep going for it later on in the game. It just doesn't happen. The Ravens also had an opportunity earlier in the game to go for a 4th and 2. We punt. I was a little upset by that. But then later on in the game, there was 4th and a foot. We're on our own 40, and we go for it. We get it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You know. I would say they did just score the drive before that, so we were like, you know what? Let's put these guys away. You know, we don't want them to get life. So it all is. It's a game. You got to react based on what's going on. But I want us to just stay aggressive, gas on the pedal. Or foot on the gas.
Foot on the gas.
Foot on the gas. Foot on the
combo there. Whatever.
Let's get that down the entire time. And the whole night ends with the crowd chanting MVP for Lamar Jackson and him telling them to be quiet.
Yeah, that was cool. Don't care about it.
That was cool.
Gosh.
Respect that. I will say he is the odds-on favorite once again. We were talking about that. It's what happened? What changed? It's I think he deserved it personally, just when you look at the whole body of work and everything, but why all of a sudden, I know he was voted first team, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, they think he's going to win it. Never mind, flip it all around. It's what changed minds? I don't know.
I think those voters vote MVP.
They do. They are the MVP voters. They give him first team.
Since 07.
Has to win MVP.
It's happened before.
Yeah.
But it hasn't happened since 07. If you're first team All-Pro, you win the MVP.
Yeah, you're winning, especially if you're first team All-Pro quarterback, you're winning the MVP.
But for the Steelers, I mean, first half absolutely abysmal.
Didn't show up.
I mean, just miscommunications from the offensive line. There was a double pull,
yeah,
and that was clearly wrong. The right tackle clearly was in the wrong. It's like doesn't show up for a playoff game until the second half. That's pretty tough. And it's against a division rival. Where's the get up, Tomlin?
Right. Yeah.
No, I don't think his job should be in question, but where's the get up? Because you know who it is you're playing, and you didn't show up until the second half. That's not good.
Like, should his job be in question though? Like, he is the one that hired both Matt Canada and Arthur Smith.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say Arthur Smith is. Yikes, that was a tough one.
Terrible hire.
Just the only question is what's on the other side.
Exactly.
But it's a full rebuild.
I would say probably 28 teams give him a call if he's fired away.
But yeah,
sometimes you got to move on eventually.
Right. With Mike Tomlin, you're never going to get a top 10 pick.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
You know?
It was the same way for the Bengals with Marvin Lewis, though. I mean, were they going to get Joe Burrow if they kept Lewis? Because they would have won at least 6 games even when they were bad.
Yeah.
Because he was good enough as a coach. And instead, they had to suck to go get a generational guy. It's just what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you look at Pittsburgh, like Arthur Smith's identity is running the football. They only ran the ball 11 times for 29 yards. Like, they couldn't get any push at all. The Ravens just dominated them up front. Like, this was an actual belt to ass.
Yeah.
We're stronger than you, we're tougher than you, we're going to beat you. And it is very impressive to watch from Baltimore's standpoint. Sets up an incredible game next week. Jumping into that one, Addison, I believe I gave you...
I'll say real quick on the Ravens.
Please, yes.
Got a little bit of a longer response here, so bear with me.
Yeah.
Saw this, the Next Network, bunch of younger Ravens fans, saw it on TikTok, I'm sure they're on YouTube as well, so shout out you guys. Last time that the same 4 AFC remaining people from the previous season were the same was 2011 to 2012. When it was it was Denver, New England, Houston, and Baltimore. 2011, Baltimore gets a bye. Loses in the AFC Championship game to New England. Turn around 2012, Baltimore doesn't get a bye, wins their first home playoff game, goes to Denver, wins, goes to New England in the AFC Championship rematch, wins, goes to the Super Bowl in New Orleans in 2012.
Shut up.
Wins the Super Bowl.
Oh, man.
And then you look at last year to this year, Baltimore. Last year, sorry, I gotta find my notes here. Baltimore gets the bye last year. Wins their first home playoff game. Loses to Kansas City in the AFC Championship game. Go to this year. Baltimore doesn't get the bye. Wins their first home playoff game. Goes to Buffalo. Goes to Kansas City potentially for a chance to rematch the team that knocked them out last year. For a chance to go to the Super Bowl.
In New Orleans.
Weird. And you look at 2012. Who was the perceived best 2 quarterbacks in the league? Tom Brady and Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
Fast forward to 2024. Who's the perceived best 2 quarterbacks in the league?
Mahomes.
Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. I'm not saying I believe in coincidences, but there's too many factors. Then you go Ravens every 12 years.
Yeah, 12 years.
And you go 28-year-old quarterbacks.
Yep.
I mean, there's a lot pointing towards Baltimore this year. So
Lamar they're really saying like you have to go through the gauntlet to prove yourself.
Yeah, he does. He absolutely has to.
And no one else has to do that, which I think is a little bullshittery.
Yeah.
You know, because like if Josh Allen had a little cupcake walk to the Super Bowl, they'd be like, oh, but Josh Allen, you know,
Josh Allen did it. Right, he did it.
You know, but hey, that's just me.
That's right.
I hope he does it. I believe in him.
Yeah.
The whole time I was watching the Broncos-Bills game, I was like, I don't care who wins.
No.
Because I think we can go into Buffalo.
Yeah.
But I want a home playoff game.
Yes.
You know? But now that we're going to Buffalo, I'm amped. I'm psyched. I can't wait. I'm looking at tickets right now.
Oh my God. If you go, you have to jump through a table.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
I'll jump through a Bills fan.
Yes, love that. Love it. All right. Speaking of the Bills, Addison. Broncos, Bills.
Broncos,
Talk to us about
Bills. So I'll just throw some stats out from both quarterbacks, running backs, receivers from both teams. Bo Nix was 13 of 22 for $144 and a tud, early one in the game. Jalen was 20 of 26, very efficient for 272 and 2 touchdowns. Running game, Bo Nix. Only 4 rushes for 43 yards. Javonte Williams, 7 rushes for 29. No one else over 10 from the Broncos. So no run game really helping them is tough. On the other side, Buffalo absolutely dominated on the run game. James Cook was 23 rushes, 120 yards, and a touchdown. He had a long of 19, so pretty much an explosive play on the ground is always big. They had Jalen 8 rushes for 46 yards, and even Ty Johnson had 9 for 43. So you got a 3-headed monster running attack, and they were just dominant with the ground game. On the receiver side, Sutton for Denver was the leading receiver yardage-wise. He had 5 for 75. Troy Franklin had 2 for 54 and a touchdown. It was a 43-yard deep ball on the first drive of the game. For the Buffalo Bills, Curtis Samuel had 68 yards on 3 catches, touchdown, a gigantic play where it was just a big one, a third down. But just talking about the game, really the summary of it, holy Batman possession time for the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
I mean, run game was absolutely dominant. Just at the top, though, the Broncos got the ball first and made the most of their opportunity.
Yeah.
Bo Nix completed a third down to Cortland Sutton for like 20 yards over the middle, put him around the 50-yard line, and he threw a dot to his Oregon teammate, Troy Franklin, and that really, you thought maybe for a second, is Denver going to do something? And then Buffalo only able to muster 3 on their first drive, but you're going to see a trend here, though, is the fact that they had a 12-play, 60 yards, 5.5-minute drive. 5.5 minute, and pretty much that's all of their drives. They had only one drive in the game besides the last one of the game where they took knees. That was under 5 minutes. One was 4 minutes and 57 seconds. But other than that, the 1-minute drive was a touchdown on 3 plays. So it's tough when that they're just eating the clock away. And Denver, I mean, Buffalo didn't blow the game out of the water immediately. They had a chance to answer, and they pull out the fake punt after a 3-and-out opportunity.
Love that.
And that was a great play. I mean, it was wide open. More teams need to do that because the Gunners do just turn and run after a certain point. But it's just backbreaking when you don't convert anything off of the fake punt.
Yes.
You ended up punting anyway. It was a great punt. You downed him at the 1. But guess what? Buffalo's worst drive of the game followed that. Starting at their 1-yard line, they were to get 40 yards on 11 plays, eat time off the clock, and then punt and flip field to the 7-yard line. So your fake punt resulted in a punt. That's heartbreaking. I think that was really a game changer, maybe the biggest drive of the game. The second biggest drive, though, was the one right before half, obviously. Bo Nix led the Broncos to field goal range. It was a great drive, hitting Cortland Sutton a couple times, then Will Lutz, doink. And it just absolutely crushes it. Instead of it being tied with Bills getting ball at half, it's 7-10. And then Bills just come out again immediately. Long drive, 55 yards, 8 plays, 5 more minutes off the clock. Take another 3, just continue it up. Continues scoring, and then Denver 3-and-out with run, pass. And it's like, Sean Payton, what are we doing? And what does Buffalo do? They answer with a long clock-chewing drive that results in a touchdown and a 2-point conversion to go up 21-7. And so what does Sean Payton do on the next drive? He pulls out run, pass.
And 3-and-out.
And you're just, what are you doing? You're hamstringing your rookie quarterback, Bo Nix, who I thought played well in this game. That's about the only bright spot I had for the Denver Broncos really looking at this was with what limited plays he had in the 18 minutes of possession time compared to the Buffalo Bills' 42, which is absurd.
Crazy.
Bo Nix didn't look terrible. The stats weren't the prettiest, but I mean, when you're getting run, pass, and it's the runs are not getting you yardage. It's 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 11 even on one when you went run, false start pass. It's like, what do you want Bo Nix to do? What do you want him to do, Sean Payton? And then that's where that goes on you, play caller.
Right.
And your first drive was explosive play on 3rd down and explosive play on 2nd down. And where did that go the rest of the game? Nowhere. And in turn, the Buffalo Bills run game just absolutely just owned. I mean, you take away Denver's pass rush completely. The leading team with sacks, 63 on the season for the Broncos. And they had 2 all game because the Bills are just able to pound the rock. So that's pretty much what I loved from the Buffalo Bills. The ability to extend drives on 3rd downs, short passing with Allen, keeping the clock going. And there's not really anything I hated from the Buffalo Bills besides maybe the deep bomb touchdown because it's a don't get beat deep league anymore. Say that 10 times fast. And they got beat with 2 guys, and Troy Franklin still got over the top of the defense. It's like, that can't happen. But other than that, Buffalo Bills pretty much played a perfect game, and the Broncos just, where's the defense at? You guys get any sort of stop? They were not able to pretty much any drive. And then on the offensive side of the ball, can you sustain any drive at all whatsoever? And the answer was no. And the future's bright, though. If we're talking about where these teams are going to be going in the future, Denver, you're excited. You're talking about how the Chargers made the playoffs a year early. The Broncos definitely made it. Maybe even 2 years early if you're a Broncos fan with all the cap situation. Right there's so much money going to a quarterback that's not even on your team. And first year with Bo Nix, you make the playoffs. Damn good effort, but I saw a meme on Twitter. It was the SpongeBob movie where it's SpongeBob and Patrick drying up at the end. They're like, we didn't do too bad for a couple of goofballs. And it's like, that's Broncos fans right now, though, because they're okay with
for a couple of goofballs.
They made the playoffs, and they're a year early. They ran into a really good Bills team. Excited for the future. And in Buffalo, I mean, hey, we talked about it a little bit. The future for them is next week against the Baltimore Ravens. If they can play like this, it's going to be a damn good game because his first matchup in week 4 was a beatdown. But I almost It's obviously excuses talk.
Early.
Ravens were 1-2, needed a win.
Yeah.
Bills were 3-0. Were they coasting on a 3-0 high?
Right.
It was a must-win for the Ravens. Well, the playoffs are a must-win.
Must win.
So what are the Bills going to do when the Ravens play the exact same way with a must-win mentality? Are you going to show up? If they play like this, they've got a damn good chance. And I'm excited to watch it. I can't
Great
wait.
game.
Yeah.
You look at the second half of this game, like you mentioned, the Broncos go into halftime missing that field
Yeah.
goal. Bills, on all 4 of their possessions where they didn't end the game, scored points.
Yep.
They went field goal, touchdown, touchdown, field goal.
Yeah.
And the Broncos went 3 and out, downs.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, that's game.
And the downs were, your desperation.
Desperation,
down 3 scores
right.
in the fourth quarter, we have to go. And it's just
4 plays, -7
Yeah.
yards on the second.
Well, let's be real. Like, you were already playing with desperation in the first half.
Yeah,
and you
because-
lost it.
exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what happened, but when you're throwing those deep bombs to Troy Franklin to start the game, I was like, oh, they're here to play. They're
Right.
here to be aggressive.
Nothing to lose.
When they
right.
stopped
Go
being
for
aggressive
it. Yeah.
is when they started losing the game.
Yeah.
I mean, they fake punt, all of a sudden you get to a 4th and 5, 4th and 6 something on the other side of the field, and you're not going for it. It's a
Right.
free possession at that point.
Right, you might as well.
You have to.
You already did it once. Go
Whenever
for
Bo
it.
Nix is throwing down the field, I mean, there's 2 really big drops that Cortland Sutton
Yeah.
and someone
Troy
else had.
Franklin had a 3rd and 5 drop. That was
Yeah.
backbreaking.
And there was
Devon
2
Vele
huge
had a couple of drops too.
And those hurt, but he was getting the looks that he wanted
Yeah.
deep downfield.
Yep.
When you're only running the ball and then you're like, all right, good luck, kid, on 3rd down.
Yeah.
They know you're gonna throw.
Right, obviously,
You
it's
know,
3rd and 7.
I mean, it's
You're
an
passing.
obvious passing situation.
Yeah.
So yeah, are you trying to set up the play action at that point? Fuck the play action.
Yeah.
You gotta throw the ball. They
No
know
one's
you need to
fighting.
throw the ball.
Yeah, exactly.
And when you're running the ball and not doing anything, you're just screwing yourself for the next 2 downs.
Yeah. No, 100%. And I mean, the Bills did a good job spying Bo Nix as well. He's
They did.
only 4
Yeah.
rushes, and I'm pretty sure 3 of them
43
were
yards.
late.
Yeah.
So they were already down 3
Yeah.
scores, and
Yeah.
it's prevent defense. Basically, we're just not going to let you score on this play.
Right.
Every single timeout for the defense, go ahead, take the 10 yards. And that's when they started getting it. And it's like they shut down his legs.
Yeah.
Are they going to be able to do that against Lamar? I don't think so. But it's like, can they even afford to send a spy on Lamar?
Right.
With all the weapons they have and with the offense that they
Right,
run.
with Lamar.
Can you afford to have a guy sitting just watching Lamar?
Right.
You can for against Denver with Bo Nix. Can you against Lamar? Who knows?
I will say Denver in that first half, their defense in the red zone specifically
Yeah.
was on fire.
Very
Like,
good.
They were killing it. They were doing everything they could. They weren't letting Josh Allen, as Tony Romo would told us every 3 minutes, could use his legs like we forgot. Like, but no, like they did a great job of shutting them down within the 10-yard line, especially.
Yeah.
Obviously they got one through, but hey, like they put in all their cards or all their chips into their pile, and gosh, like they screwed it at the end.
Yeah.
There's a comment saying that I hear a lot of and see a lot of, and it makes perfect sense. The first half, the winner of the first half is based on coaching. Winner of the second half is talent.
Yeah.
And you saw that here. You can script a first half. And the Broncos scripted a decent first half. Should have been 10-10 going into halftime.
Yeah.
But then it comes down to talent level in the second half and adjustment and who you have on the field. And as much as I want to joke about the fact that Nix and Allen had similar stats this year, there is a gigantic gulf in talent level there at this point in their careers. It's not even comparable. And you saw it in the second half as they dominated the second half, winning it, 21-0 in the second half? I mean, that is very obvious.
Well, and Addison, you talked about it on the recap, time of possession and run game for Buffalo.
Yeah.
The thing that surprised me most in this game was Denver's front 7 that we've all been gloating for all year. They've been great on the front 7, and then Buffalo just imposed their will time after time. And James Cook had, 83 yards in the first half?
Yeah.
100. I think he had 100.
Yeah,
He might have had
100
100 in the
first
first
half.
half.
And it's like this front 7, like you knew what you were going to get with Allen and Cook, and you knew the outside weapons weren't the best in the league, and you had Pat Surtain out there to contain one of them at least. The front 7, the rush game, you couldn't get beat
bullied.
physically, and you got bullied, like you said. So that was what surprised me most in this game.
I would agree.
Yeah, James Cook, workhorse, has earned that right, and he's got breakaway speed. That's a
he's
damn
good.
good back. He
He's
scored
good
16
range.
touchdowns in the regular season, making 17 now with this one in the postseason.
120 yards.
I thought they had a really good quick game passing attack, get the linemen out blocking. Their screens, every single time I'm watching it, not to pull it to the Bears, it's just how can they block? Because the Bears just physically can't. And then the Bills, when they do it, it's perfect. The linemen are hitting corners and safeties, and the receivers are holding blocks, and they work. And it's like, well, that's how you take away the rush and take away Pat Surtain, because we're getting the ball to the receiver anyway, because we're throwing it behind the line of scrimmage, and then we're getting yards.
Yep.
They played a damn good game, and if they play like this again against
It's gonna be a
Baltimore,
great
it's going to
game.
be a great game.
Yep, they got to bring their A game for sure. Colin, Packers at Eagles, the second game on Sunday. What you got from that one for us?
Yeah, it was an absolute hate watch for sure. Can't stand both of these teams, obviously being a Dallas guy myself. But it was just three big things in this game that are the takeaways. Number one are the Packers' mistakes.
Yep.
And it started right out of the gate,
Yep.
which I'm not certain what angle they looked
he
at
had
the ball.
that ball, man.
But he had 3 balls in his crotch area.
Yeah.
And he didn't get possession.
Mm-hmm.
So it started right out the gate, short field. Jalen Hurts has all day in the pocket on that touchdown.
8 seconds, I think, before he hit the ball.
And it's and that brings me to point number 2 is the trenches, because Philly's offensive line didn't budge at all in this game. And on the opposite side, their defensive line was in the backfield all day long.
Game.
And then the third thing here is quarterback play, because if you want to look at both of them, I know Hurts played a clean game, 2 passing touchdowns, no turnovers.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're asking him to win games throwing 131 yards, that's not going to happen against these premier teams.
No.
But looking on the other side, Jordan Love, no touchdowns, 3 interceptions. One of them was late, I get it. But the other 2 are like, why are you testing Slay one-on-one with Dontavian Wicks?
Right.
Yeah.
Why are you throwing a Stevie Wonder to an all-pro in the middle of the field?
Yeah.
Did you just not see him there? I get it. Green jerseys, green field.
Right.
But it's like, man, you got to see where those all-pro guys are at. Because more times than not, they're going to be in positions to make a play.
Yeah.
I think Philly just imposed their will. They were more physical on both sides of the ball. And if they play a clean game like they did in this game, although it wasn't the prettiest game, I think they could be a wrecking force moving forward.
Okay.
Talk about Saquon Barkley. As a Cowboy fan, obviously Giants to Eagles, you would think I can't stand the guy, but how do you hate Saquon Barkley?
Mm-hmm.
I love the slide at the end of the game. I don't care about the touchdown.
Doesn't want it.
It's
I
nice
needed
the
it,
game.
but
Everyone needed. It was the most bet prop of the weekend was a
That's
Saquon
how you know
Barkley
it's not
touchdown.
him, though.
He's like, nope, I'm going down.
And I like the point. It's like, well, what happens if I pull a hamstring?
Yeah.
Right,
Why
why would I do that?
you
know,
slide.
roll an
You
ankle.
slide
That's
every
smart.
time.
It's a
Let's
bummer.
just
but
get
it's
out of
smart.
here with a win. A lot of mistakes on Green Bay side. Talked about the turnovers, but also the chip shot, missed 38-yard field goal.
Yeah, that's brutal.
Not ideal. So Green Bay didn't show up. Philly kind of showed up, at least defensively showed up. Their offense wasn't really much to gloat about.
No.
But first game in a month for Jalen Hurts, so I'll chalk it up to that. But if you're paying these guys $50+ million, I'm going to need more than no touchdowns and 3 interceptions. And on the flip side, I'm going to need more than 131 passing yards.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
I would say of the five of the 6 games this weekend, the team that was just more physical won. The team that said, we're just going to be tougher than you won the football games. And we'll get more into those games as we go. But you look at, Dallas Goedert triple stiff arming a dude into Middle Earth. My God. And he literally slowed down so he could hit one more. He's like, I slowed down so I could do it again just for fun. They dominated at the line of scrimmage. Saquon Barkley got whatever he wanted. The Packers didn't show up. Jordan Love really struggled in this game. It is tough, and you hate to say it, injuries. Injuries happen to everybody, but when you lose Elton Jenkins on that first play, again, though, that's a physical play. That's Nolan Smith. Elton Jenkins has at least 50 to 60 pounds on him, and Nolan Smith rocked his shit. Just blew him up. No, sorry, Elton Jenkins. That sucks that you got hurt, and I feel bad. But Philly just came with this mentality that we are tougher than you, we're not afraid of you, and Packers were trying to play a different type of ball game. And that when you try to break dance in a street fight, you lose the street fight. Yeah. They lost the street fight. Jordan Love, man, got some questions. 3 picks in this game is not pretty. He did have some good playoff performances last year. What'd you do for me recently?
Yeah.
You threw 3 interceptions, and 2 of them were ugly interceptions. What are we doing?
Yeah. Just to talk on the Eagles point, and I get the Hurts, obviously 1 more passing yards because my dad was watching the game and he's pissed too because obviously he bet shit.
Yep.
They're not throwing, but I'm saying, why do they need to throw?
They don't.
If they don't need to, and you can win a football game handing the ball to Saquon, we say it for the Ravens, do it.
Yeah.
Well, why can't you just do that for the Eagles and make big time throws when they're needed? Jalen Hurts, obviously A.J. Brown reading a book on the sideline.
I was going to talk about that. That's interesting.
That ain't a good look. So obviously there's still problems there. If he doesn't get involved, just a diva receiver situation. You got to get him involved earlier. It's going to be a problem. So we'll see what that's going forward. But Jalen Hurts got to make big time plays if they're going to run the ball like this consistently because you're going to get limited throws. And on the other side, Green Bay, Matt LaFleur, I love it because the fires are starting a little bit. Please just get your fans pissed at you enough to want you fired because you're a great coach.
Great coach.
You're a great coach.
Too.
But now people have even pulled out if they don't have the 7th seed in the playoffs, he doesn't even make it a couple of years. And it's like, okay, well, he made it, but that's fine with me. Start chirping. Start chirping.
Yeah, you love that.
But I will say this, although players did not listen to the message Matt LaFleur was preaching all week, which don't get involved in the drama. Don't go to their level. And instead, what do? Saquon at the end of the game doing his emote. The game was pretty much out of reach at that point, but the late shoves, it was multiple times. It's like, what do you think's going to happen? They're going to throw a flag after
Welcome to Philly, man.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And just in
Philly's
general,
trying to lure you into that.
They are, because they
Anyways,
know they
that's
can get
Philly's
it.
game.
no, 100%.
I did love
It's
Jalen
just-
Hurts step into the defensive lineman.
Yeah.
Like he
Yeah.
shoved Saquon down, Jalen Hurts got up in his
Yeah.
face. It's like, that's a $50 million quarterback that's
Yeah.
getting in front of a dude who's 100 pounds heavier than him. It's
Good.
like, that's tough.
Love to
That's
see
tough.
the mentality there, but it's just, man, Packers players. Why are you not listening, and how do you not know they're going to try to do that?
Right,
You
just
said
put
it.
your
That's
head
part
down
of
and
their
get back
game.
in the
Lock
huddle.
in. Just be what you need to be a professional this game, because then maybe they'll get a flag because they're instigating a situation, and instead
Yeah.
you get flags, and it was a heartbreaking situation for the Packers. It made me grin. And again, we're my Philly green today. So shout out Eagles. And again, it makes me grin the Bears sitting there no matter what.
True.
Even though Washington won.
Even though Bears did it to him, yeah.
Something else
please.
real quick about Jalen Hurts, just because I saw a Philly tweet, I got my feels,
Yeah.
of course. Hurts now has more playoff wins than Dak, and he was arguing playoff wins are a quarterback stat, which I don't agree with,
No.
because you look at Hurts 3-3 in the playoffs. There are 3 wins against Daniel Jones. The
Yep.
Giants put up 7 points.
Yeah, good
How
job.
is that a quarterback stat? Josh Johnson, when Brock Purdy went out, the Niners put up 7
And then
points.
Josh Johnson got hurt.
That's
It's Christian McCaffrey
Christian
quarterback.
McCaffrey.
That's a quarterback that held him to 7, I guess.
Uh-huh.
Jordan Love put up 10. So in Hurts' 3 playoff wins, the defense has given up 8 points per game.
Yeah, come on.
I mean, how many quarterbacks in the league can win when their defense
Right.
puts up 8 points per game?
Tom Brady made a living.
Especially
off of
with
it,
the
man.
weapons you have.
Right.
You know,
Especially with
you
the
have
weapons,
AJ
yeah.
Brown and Devontae Smith. You better put up
In the
14
offensive
at
line
least.
that has, 4 Pro Bowls?
Exactly.
Yes. Literally.
Hurts' losses, Brady put up 31 on that defense. Mahomes put up 38 on that defense. Baker put up 32 on that defense. So if a team scores 20 plus or 30 plus, I want to see some more of that action, Jay.
We might see that this weekend when they play the Rams, who are offense looks hot.
Yeah, I will say, I think the Eagles go as far as that secondary takes them. That young secondary, as long
Quinyon
as they
Mitchell
keep...
getting the pick, stud.
I love his nickname. I was complaining halfway through the season that there wasn't any good nicknames.
Uh-huh.
And Quinyon Mobe
Quinyon
is so good.
He finally got his first career pick on a clear pass interference.
On a clear PI.
Love it.
With a minute left in the game.
That's Eagles football.
Yes.
Let's talk about the Rams. I don't know.
I mean, when you're playing 11 versus 17 all game, it's tough.
Yeah, and I will say, just briefly touch on 2 things from that game. AJ Brown reading a book on the sideline and then saying, I do this every game. Why have we never seen you sitting there reading a book before then, brother? How come this is the first time? It is. Well, he's highlighted it up. I'm sure he reads it at home. You're in the middle of a playoff game.
Yeah.
If you have 10 catches, are you sitting there reading the book? Probably not. Probably not. We're seeing you on the phone, dapping everybody up, getting hyped because you're the show. Yeah. Instead, you have 1 catch on 3 targets, and you're sitting there pouting and reading a book instead of focusing on the game. I hate that mentality. He is a total diva. And I can't stand it. Philly
I don't
fans,
hate
you
it.
can't spin it.
I don't hate it.
Better.
Look at the name of the book. It's called Inner Excellence.
Yeah,
you
great.
know?
But
and he's just getting better on the sideline. He's getting better on the field.
His
He's
mind
getting better
right.
off the field.
Get his mind
getting
right.
those mentals right.
Yeah.
I did almost wonder if it was a situation where it was just like, it's a guy throwing on shades because you're up so big and the game's over, but with the past of him complaining.
Right. It's like,
is it
come on.
him making a statement? But at the same time,
Like,
I did sort of
read.
almost take it as like, is it almost just a front to the Packers? Hey, I can read a book.
I'm going to say read a book.
I can read a book. That we don't even need to be that locked.
And if that's the case, say that.
I know.
Say that
I
after
know.
the game. Tell us, we were winning 20.
Yeah, I was trying to disrespect them.
I was
just be honest about it.
I clearly don't need to. We're good. We're going to win this game. Don't sell me bullshit.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah,
Don't tell me I do this every game when we have literally never seen. Show me 1 picture. Someone in the comments, I dare you to go find me 1 picture of him sitting there mid-game reading that book. You can't do it.
Yeah.
You can't do it.
Also, we were all told he was a top 5 receiver in the league.
Yeah, 1
How many
catch, 10
top-
yards.
Yeah, 3 targets. But it's easy. I'm coming off as a hater, and I am a hater. I'm not going to say I'm not. But if Philly is only asked to do this and still win, that's impressive.
Yeah.
And so
100%.
it's easy to nitpick. Hurts' performance, obviously not gaudy numbers. No one else besides Saquon offensively really had gaudy numbers. But they still win. So it's easy to nitpick, but if that's what they have to do to win.
Yeah.
Also, I will say, shout out to the Philly Eagles organization and not their fans. That fan yelling at the Packers fan. Ugly scenes, man. You can't.
Oh, he's cooked.
Oh, he's already fired from his job, and he's been banned from the stadium for life.
Yeah.
The Philadelphia Eagles found him, banned him from the stadium for life. That dude gives the rest of their fans a shitty name.
Yeah.
And then people are in the comments saying, well, don't go to the link then if you don't want that to happen. It's like, no. You're allowed to go to opposing fields and watch a football game and not have someone yell at you the obscenities that were being yelled at you. shut up.
And I also hate that he should have thrown punches. He's getting jumped.
Right, exactly.
You're getting
He's surrounded. They're like, oh, you have to stand up for your wife. It's like,
assault charge if the video shows you
exactly.
punching first.
Exactly.
And then you're getting full jumped by Philly fans who just turn around and see a Packers fan fighting a Eagles fan.
They're gonna jump the Packers.
It's like
fan.
that's just it's just what's gonna happen.
No, he did it smart. He's like, you know what, I'm not gonna get baited into this fight. I'm just gonna record this and then see what happens.
And at the end of the day, it's like that guy. You can even say that if you're not surrounded by people, you feel like
you feel tough.
Protected.
Yeah, you
if
feel
it's
tough.
one-on-one, are you gonna be going up there and saying that?
Mob
it's like, man,
mentality.
come on, man.
Yeah. I will say, since we're on the topic of fights, and I didn't even remember to think about this. Right after the Ravens game, there were 2 Pittsburgh Steelers fans fighting each other outside the stadium.
I didn't see that.
I was like, "This is
awesome.
great.
Yeah.
This is
That
amazing."
is ultimate dysfunction.
Also, talking about the guy that got exposed, I saw on Twitter people like, "Oh, do you feel good about exposing this guy?"
Yes.
It's like, yes,
This is what we should do.
Berating some helpless and
Packers
innocent
fan.
woman.
Right, it's also
come on,
like,
man.
let's be real. What had the Packers really done? Because he was pissed about her like
Celebrating a touchdown.
It's
Like, she's down to 1. He's not in. Not a
and
touchdown.
it's like, well, what did he really have to celebrate? So it's like her one time celebrating got you that triggered, my man. It's
Right.
like, holy,
like I've been to
I
Pittsburgh
love
for a
the
playoff
Bears,
game,
but come on.
and I was quiet most of the game. But then we picked off Ben Roethlisberger in that game. We don't have to talk about how that game went. It was ugly and cold as all hell. But like I started celebrating that interception because it's the only good thing that happened. And I didn't get anything from Steelers fans. I heard one guy say, "Oh, there he is. We felt like," because I was in all black coats and shit, hiding a little bit, just freezing cold. But I did celebrate, and he like called me out, but it was all good natured. No one was saying mean shit to me.
Yeah.
It's just that there's no place for that. Like, if I want to spend money on I paid, how much money did they have to pay to go to that game for their drinks, for their food, for their parking, just to get berated like that? Like, my team's getting their ass kicked. I don't need you to scream at me too, dude.
It's ridiculous.
It's
I can't
nuts.
wait till I berate all the Bills fans this week.
Yeah, you get them. You can have fun with that.
Also, I'm not one to take shots at spouses and everything, but if you're calling someone else ugly, maybe look at your own wife.
Yeah, right.
Oh.
Who knows?
It's got a daughter too. It's like,
Yeah, you got a daughter. It's like, what's wrong
what would
with
you
you, bro?
say to your daughter and her wife if they came home and said that happened to them?
Right, yeah.
Deal
He
with
deserves everything he gets.
you were in the top rows at Lincoln.
Yeah.
No, you'd be pissed.
Yeah,
It's like, come on, man.
Agreed.
Come on. Just be better.
Ridiculous.
Be better for these fans because they have trash reputation.
Yeah, they have a terrible
reason,
and then we see videos like that, and it's like, come on, man.
Like, how do we root for that fan base? Like, if the
can't.
Eagles win it all ever, you can't be happy.
Well,
for
then you
the
got
city.
people like Max on Barstool, who is just the biggest fucking baby of all time. Drives me nuts listening to him talk about anything. But let's move on.
Yeah.
Washington at Tampa Bay. This was best game of the weekend, I would say.
Yeah,
Probably pretty close, pretty easily too. I will take my real fast victory lap as the only person who took Washington on this podcast. Thank you very much. A great game between 2 even teams. I want to shout out Washington's defense.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a bunch of no-name guys on that defense outside of Marshawn Lattimore, who probably played the worst of all of them. He got absolutely bitched up by Mike Evans. Kind of funny to watch. I felt bad for him when he was talking to one of the coaches on the sideline with his helmet off. I thought he was going to cry. I was like, this man's about to cry on the field. He looks devastated right now that he's getting absolutely bullied. Tampa Bay's offense was excellent all season long. Even after they lost Chris Godwin, Bucky Irving was awesome. Mike Evans is awesome. But the difference in this game was the difference that's been there for Washington all season. Ask Jaden Daniels, man. He is, you know how we talk about Joe Cool, Joe Burrow. He's, Jaden Daniels has that killer mentality where I read this thing where Joe Burrow had an old coach who told his parents, you guys are really lucky that he loves sports because if he didn't love sports, he'd probably be a serial killer. He'd probably be a Dexter type of guy because that's how serial of a mentality that he has.
He doesn't talk to his parents on Saturday.
Yeah, because he's locked in.
Yeah.
Jaden Daniels, I'm telling you, when he's asleep, his heart rate's 50. When he's awake, it's 55. And when he's leading a game-winning drive, it's 56. Like, he's that calm under pressure. It's crazy to see that. And shout out them for how quickly they turned around this franchise. This is a team that picks, I didn't get a chance to look it up. I will at some point. How many teams have picked second in the NFL draft and then gone on to not only make the playoffs, but win a playoff game, too, on the road?
I say the Washington Redskins did it when they had
RG3. Okay, there we go. Last time it happened.
But he didn't win a playoff game.
No, they
didn't win
lost.
the playoff game.
They lost. That's true. Very, very impressive from the Commanders. Tampa Bay, they didn't play bad. I don't think they played bad. Their offense just didn't really get rolling the way you wanted to. Bucky Irving was solid, but not spectacular. I think he had 77 yards on 17 carries. It was just Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels just outplayed him, man.
Yeah.
He just won the game. And I'm not saying they're going to beat Detroit, but if it's a close game at the end and Washington has the ball, they're a team that their last 6 games, they have won their last 6 games, and it's all come down to the last play from scrimmage.
Yeah.
Every single one of those games has come down to the final play. This is a team that just has that weird feeling around them, like they're going to win the football game. I don't know how they're going to do it, but it just feels like they're going to win the game. And that's just kind of my take from that game was they looked like maybe not even the better team, but they just, I don't know, man. They just seem like a team that's going to win football games.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that the real backbreaker for the Bucs was the fumble on the jet sweep operation between Baker and McMillan.
Yep.
That's just tough because the Commanders went for it on the 4th down prior to that and were not able to convert. Maybe a penalty on that in the end zone, could have been a PI on that 4th down, but still we're not able to convert. And then it's a turnover there where it just gives them another opportunity on the short field. And it's, if you give a pretty damn good player, almost you say great player at this point, for Jaden Daniels, 2 opportunities to convert a 4th down, they're going to get 1.
Yeah.
I can guarantee you that.
Gonna get it.
Most likely, most times they get both. But they're going to get 1, especially if they're shots at the end zone. And that's what Jaden Daniels did. I mean, you said it, man. Clutch. They're the cardiac commanders. That's what they're calling them, and rightfully so. And the only question is those 6 games coming down to the wire all going their way.
Right. How long does that last? I know.
And then they just run into the gauntlet, though. If they beat Detroit, man, I'll be so pissed.
That would
be so pissed because Daniels will have beat them and obviously the shit with the Bears. But still, it's just like, I sort of want Detroit at this point to be good enough to win. But besides the point, Commanders, I don't want to say, they obviously won the football game. Bucs shot themselves in the foot with a shotgun and blew it off. You know what I mean? It wasn't a pebble gun. I mean, it was a shotgun and their foot's gone with that fumble. But still, Commanders did what they had to do to win the football game, and they took advantage.
Doinked in the game-winning field goal.
Yeah,
I know.
Oh, his OCD is so bad.
Yeah. I've seen the clip before on Twitter. I told my dad, I was like, he's about to rub his head like 8 times.
Yeah, 8 times. I was like, please put the helmet on, dude. You got to put the helmet on. I can't watch it.
And then they show he does it with the socks.
The foot, his socks. He just kept taking his shoe off and adjusting it just a little bit.
Kickers are the most superstitious. OCD.
Well, he has like very well-documented OCD.
I feel like it's a kicker thing. You know?
Yeah. They're just a strange breed of human beings.
Yeah.
They really are.
That's okay.
It's like goalies in hockey. Very weird people.
Very weird people. But an impressive win for the Commanders, man. You talk about like there's just these quarterbacks that get drafted to teams and it just turns around that franchise. All of a sudden, like Joe Burrow to Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Cincinnati sucked. Joe Burrow comes in, all of a sudden they're a contender team every single season.
You could not say any free agent would want to go to Washington. No. Now they do. Jaden Daniels is an attractive enough piece where good players will go, hey, I want to go there.
I'm assuming they have cap space too.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Who are they paying?
They're not paying anybody.
They do have cap.
Yeah, they got cap space.
They got a Super Bowl experienced coach in Quinn, not a winner, but still got there.
I will say, shout out Dan Quinn turning around that defense.
Oh, yeah.
And they drafted so well.
Yeah.
Oh,
Johnny Newton in the second round.
Mike Sanistril is a huge pickup. Pound for pound, they were saying he was the best player in the draft last year.
Yeah.
And he's showing it. You know, he's sticking on guys
Stepping
easily.
up.
And with his 5'10" frame, he's putting guys on their ass.
Yeah, he's so strong. I love
Took
Johnny.
a lot of depth from Dallas. You talked about number 2 picks winning a playoff game. I know it wasn't on the road, but Stroud last year as well.
True.
Came in, won a playoff game. 2 other plays we didn't talk about. Obviously, the jet sweep in your own 10 is a huge play.
Huge.
But
Literally last year.
Fuck. But 2 other plays I want to talk about is Graham Barton on that 4th and 1. Weird snap.
Yeah, snapped it early.
Held it for a second and then just blew it up. And then another play, 3rd and short. And the Bucs, if you want a chance, even with 50 seconds, Jaden Daniels stiff arming Cal Kansas.
Yeah, Cal Kansas just gets the flag, just gets the towel.
Stiff arm.
I thought we were playing flag football.
Yeah, just let me get the first.
Heartbreaking. Yep.
Heartbreaking for me too, of course. Another parlay, 1 leg short.
1 leg short. Classic.
Yeah, when he grabbed the towel, I was like, damn, man.
Yep.
He was going for that.
Right there.
Going for the pants, man, and he grabbed the damn towel.
Grabbed the towel instead. So
sneaky. Put that towel back in.
Yeah, hey, they can't get the pants in. Yeah. Shout out Washington. Big win for them, man. They're kind of good. They're going to be fun to watch against Detroit.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not picking them. Maybe I'm not picking them to win. But they're going to be fun to watch.
Oh, yeah.
No, I'm not picking them to win, but yeah.
It is 9.5. Yes, 9.5 in that game.
Right.
So, alrighty, last game of the wild card weekend. Addison, we got the Vikings going to Arizona to take on the Los Angeles Rams.
Yeah.
What'd you see?
Yeah, obviously the tragic wildfires in LA moved the game. So the Rams arguably didn't get a home game. They were even saying that was loud enough. Vikings fans.
Oh, it was more Vikings fans,
so
in my opinion,
it was,
just based on what I heard.
They had to go sign a count at times, which is just absurd. But some stats from the game from both quarterbacks. Darnold, 25 of 40, 245, a touchdown and a pick. Really bad pick. 9 sackaroonies, though, for Darnold.
My God.
Stafford was 19 of 27 for 209 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. He was only sacked twice. Big difference right there. Running game for the Vikings. 13 rushes for 48 yards for Aaron Jones. Not much there. Cam Akers had 5 for 40, but they really couldn't lean on the running game because the game got out of hand early. On the other side, Kyron Williams had 16 for 76 yards. That was really about it. They had 90 yards total, but Kyron was pretty much the only back that got involved. Receiving, Hawkinson, he had 5 catches on 5 targets for 64 yards, so that's impressive for the Vikings. JJ had 5 for 58. Jordan Addison only had 3 catches for 29 yards on 8 targets. That's a tough one because he's been a damn good number 2
good
all season. On the other flip side, Higbee had 5 for 58. Puka had 5 for 44. Kupp only had 1, but it was for 29.
And it was the only target, too.
Yeah. And then Demarcus Robinson only had 1. It was for 23. Mm-hmm. Kyron Williams had 3 for 16 in a tud, and then Davis Allen only had 1, but it was for a 13-yard tud. Yeah. Game starts off immediately with a bang. Play action from the Los Angeles Rams. Boom, strike, 27 yards pass on the first play, and then later on that drive, another 23-yard pass to Higbee. And that was pretty much the offense for the Rams. It was chunk plays. It was guys getting big yardages on their only catches of the game. And that's just a little bit concerning for me because it's like if chunk plays aren't there, what was the offense? They were 2 of 10 on third down, the Rams were, and it really didn't bite them in the ass. I mean, the Vikings had more possession time, more first downs, had a better third down conversion rate, but they had more opportunities. But basically, it just boils down to Sam Darnold just taking way too many sacks, not getting rid of the football, and just hurting the Vikings on second and third down. Fourth down, take a sack because you got to try to make a play. But second down, especially where he's taking 10-yard sacks because he's dancing backwards, trying to make somebody miss. Mm-hmm. That's not your game, Sam.
Nope.
But that's something Vikings fans have seen all season, that he holds the football, tries to extend plays. Well, this is the one game you could not. And we'll talk more about Darnold, but he's really cost himself some money.
Oh, God.
I mean, $30 million plus. Because people were talking $50 million range. I'm thinking he's going to get $20 million.
Now he's going to get a Baker Mayfield deal.
$20 million a year, and for who? Yeah. That's the question, because there's a chance Minnesota saw that and wants to move on.
Never mind, let's go JJ.
Rams just got up big. It was 21 points at the half for the Rams, and then they scored a field goal in the second half, and after that they became content with the punt game. Mm-hmm. One thing I did like from the Rams was their punter. He had 3 punts inside the 20, so when they did have to punt, they were pinning the Vikings inside their own red zone. Things I did not like, basically, like I said, the Rams' third down rate, I don't love that, and they only converted 2 of their 4 red zone attempts into touchdowns. They did score on all 4, 2 were field goals, but you got to convert, get into that money, get the end zone, score 7 points, and basically everything I did not like was from the Vikings, and basically I pretty much touched on it with Darnold and the fact that he struggled was putting them behind the sticks. They weren't able to run the ball. And going forward for the Rams, obviously, it's a big game they've got. They play the Eagles. We'll see if they're going to be able to. If they play like this, I almost think they're going to get smoked because it was reliant on chunk plays. Guys having 1 catch for big plays. I mean, they had multiple players with over 10 yards receiving, and that's their only catch. And those are big plays, first downs for all those guys on whatever play that was. It's like, I don't want to say you can take that away, but it's just when you're getting huge plays from everybody, if that's not there next week against a good Philly defense, what does the offense look like? Because when it was third down, they did not convert. But we'll see going forward. And then just talking about the future a little bit for the Rams, you just got to live in the present if you're a Rams fan. Because the future's probably ugly. Because if it gets bad enough, McVay either's probably going to walk away or retire. I mean, if we're just calling it a spade. So just live in the present, Rams fan, and enjoy a playoff victory in another season where everybody said you're done.
Yep. And
there's no chance they're going to compete because the roster's got nobody. Stafford's older. Yet again, they go into the playoffs and win a playoff game. Mm-hmm. And for the Vikings, I mean, going forward, it's a crappy mentality to have, but if you're living in optimistic land, it's that maybe you found out what Sam Darnold was without paying him. Yeah. Because if Sam Darnold won a playoff game, you gotta be
grateful if you're Vikings
and maybe can played a close game against the Lions, maybe you could justify still giving him a big contract. But with his last 2 games, the 9-point bum game against the Lions and this one in the playoffs, not answering the bell when the lights were bright and just basically shrinking back into his old Jet self. Mm-hmm. You got to just be at least excited about JJ. The core is there. The defense is good. I don't think Flores is going to leave if I had to bet because I just don't know if the team offers him a job. He's going to stay there as DC. Your defense will be good. You got weapons. McCarthy, let's see it. But the future is a question when they thought they had an answer going forward for the Vikings. But overall, Rams won, but I don't love the way that they played and looked. I mean, I think the Vikings just sort of sucked. Yeah, and the Rams took advantage, and it's just I don't think the Eagles will suck.
Yeah.
I don't think Ertz is going to take 9 sacks. I don't even think you're going to touch him more than 2 times because it's just that offensive line is so good, and Darnold just had a real stinker in this one.
I mean, it was 6 by halftime.
Yeah.
Like 6.
I mean, they just and the craziest part about that thing is You think about the Rams' defensive line. The first name that comes to your head when you think about the Rams' defensive line this year is Jared Verse.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're probably rookie of the year. 0 sacks.
Yeah, 0 sacks.
No sacks.
They had 8 players.
Eight
at
players
least
get a sack.
credited with half a sack in that
That's
game.
crazy.
That's big time.
Jared Verse
crazy.
did scoop and score.
Yeah,
No, right, he had a touchdown, but no sacks.
And that's also another, I guess, reason why. Real question, because are you going to get a defensive touchdown next week? I mean,
Are you gonna? I mean, the problem, like Colin mentioned when we were talking about the Eagles, is they have 4 Pro Bowl players on their offensive line, and one of them wasn't Jordan Mailata. He's the only one who didn't make the Pro Bowl, and he might be their best talent other than Lane Johnson on the offensive line.
Yeah.
And can you get like the best Vikings offensive lineman, Christian Darrisaw, not playing in this game?
Yeah.
So they're going with Cam Robinson, who's kind of been a bust of a first-round pick in his career.
Yeah.
So you're just overwhelmed by the Rams, and then Brian Flores' defense. It doesn't work against the best offenses.
Yeah.
That's the issue. Is when he comes up against a quarterback that can diagnose these blitzes and get the ball out fast. He doesn't have the corners in Minnesota to cover these guys yet.
Davis Allen's 13-yard touchdown. There were 4 guys in coverage, and 2 guys went to guard 1 player. Both went to guard Puka. Davis Allen sitting wide open.
Wide open.
And that's tough. And I guess another thing sort of to harp on the Rams, even though they won, Vikings were struggling. Turnover from Darnold, the really bad pick on a late throw on the comeback.
Yeah.
Rams don't take advantage. Punt. They have to score the defensive touchdown to really get the advantage, and then they score right before half with a good 2-minute drive. Yeah. But it's Minnesota gave them opportunities to really blow it out of the water, and they gave the ball back a couple times. It's like you can't do that in the playoffs.
No. You
cannot do that because teams aren't going to continuously turn it over. You think, you know, so.
And you look at the Vikings season, overall 14-4. Great season, but 2 losses to the Lions, 2 losses to the Rams. So there's a pretty, like, look at those games if you want to beat the Vikings. There's a formula here. Whatever it is, just out physical. And they got out physical all game.
McVay, I mean, I don't know if people really touched on it as much, but Kevin O'Connell is just from McVay's system.
Yeah,
he knew the defense looked like he knew
everything
that was coming from the Vikings. There was just no adjustments. And it just pretty much looked like McVay had the defense ready to play their own offense because that's what they run in Minnesota.
Yep, agreed. Colin, thoughts on this game that you had?
Thoughts, a couple big play swings. Obviously, the Stafford fumble, not
fumble. Yeah, that was
brings
a big.
Back to Todd, and then the flip side, you get the fumble for a touchdown against you. I think what LA did really well, and you just talked about it, their defense knew what the offensive game plan was, not only from O'Connell being in McVay's system, but also the week prior when Aaron Glenn and that Lions defense, you just got to bring pressure.
Yep, just get him.
Sam Darnold, feel that heat, and we saw it, and he just doesn't perform as well and doesn't have time to progress from read to read and make those throws. Something else I saw, a stat, in the same draft class, Kenny Galladay, who got maybe one of the worst contracts in sports.
Terrible contract.
And Cooper Kupp have the same amount of 1,000-yard seasons.
What?
Isn't that crazy? 2, I think.
2. Damn.
Or maybe it was 2 combined.
Yeah.
They have the same amount of 1,000-yard
crazy.
seasons, and Galladay hasn't played in, 3 years?
He's 2,000-yard seasons.
Yeah.
He was decent for the Lions. I wanted the Bears to get him, and he sucked. For the
low-key, I was hoping we'd get him too.
And then Addison, you talked about it. What does the future look like for the Rams? Live in the present. What the future is that defensive line.
Nasty.
That defensive
all
line.
Young, man.
Couple rookies on that D line. Obviously, Verse didn't get a sack. Got the touchdown first.
Kobe Durant's a second-year guy that had a sack.
They're almost in that weird position where are they going to have to trade more capital to go get a guy? Because McVay's not going to win 3 games.
No,
McVay's not going to win a 3-2-game season where they get a number 1 pick. We're going to have to trade everything like they did before. But hey, it worked. It worked. So.
Right.
And then something else you touched on, the chunk plays in the game against Minnesota. Philly doesn't give those up. And Brady said it in the limited time they were able to listen to him or wanted to listen to him on the broadcast. You got to beat Philly death by 1,000 cuts.
Yep.
You got to take these 6 to 7 yard passes. You're not going to get 20-yard play after 20-yard play. So can the Rams take care of the ball and can they progress down the field without the chunk plays? We'll see.
Seems like it'll be more of a Cooper Kupp game if that happens.
Should be. Short passes, quick plays.
He's getting
him and
those.
Nakua got to be in that game, man. They're gonna